Do 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 do. It's time for that wannabe film class. We don't have a song, so I've made one up now on the spot right here. This is it. Yep.
You gotta cut.
That's how we're leading into this now.
You gotta cut that into every episode from here on out.
We'll see.
Hope
or
you know
I'll
what
just
you've
create
done.
new ones on a weekly basis. Yeah.
Okay.
We thrive off of never staying the same. We got to keep them guessing.
I guess.
It's moments like this that I wish we were a video podcast because I appreciate how much you guys hated that on every level.
It was great. I've learned so much already, I think. Welcome to class.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And we'll adjourn right now. It's time for recess. We're done. That's all we needed.
Yes.
This has been Music
Sick.
Theory 101.
Oh God.
That's probably true.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Anyway, what's up, guys who are listening, people, audience, friends in the interwebs? This is That Wannabe Film Class, the show where we love movies. So each month, we choose a theme, and our members bring one movie that fits the theme for us to talk about. Maybe it's a movie they love. Maybe it's a movie they have been dying to see. Maybe it's a movie they just find interesting. Today, I am joined by my co-host, as always, the supervillain seducer herself, Chloe Naylor.
Nice.
Hello, that is me.
It's her identity. It's all she
It
is.
is my identity. It pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Some people will say that you're a robot lover and not a supervillain seducer, but those people are wrong.
They're wrong. They know the villains have to come first.
Mm-hmm.
Can you?
I would argue that the robots are just a subsection of supervillains.
Exactly.
Mm.
They really are.
Mm-hmm.
You could alliterate that as well, though. I think you could be the supervillain seducer and the robot romancer, and just really see how long you can make your title.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I like where her head got.
But the problem is, do you want the robot affiliation maintained? Because if we do that, you're stuck
no
with
getting rid of it.
I was gonna
at
say,
this
can
point.
she still
True.
kill it?
I really don't think
She
that
wants
I
to.
can.
I don't know. Well, I'm wishing her the best
I
of luck.
can't. Even if I really, really wanted to, I can't. There's no getting rid of that.
We are also joined by, people may have realized this because they're hearing two voices that are definitely not male. Wild thing for this podcast.
I'm the diversity
joined by-
hire.
Woo! We're joined by special guest Jazz Foster, also of that nerdy site. Jazz, how are you doing?
I'm okay. I'm doing okay. Excited to be on a
Awesome.
podcast, guys. This is fun.
Thank you. We're excited to have you.
Thanks.
I'm excited that this is the first time ever that Wannabe Film Class is not predominantly white men.
Woo.
Crazy.
Doing what I can,
Yeah.
guys.
At best, we've been 50-50. And by that, I mean it's been me and Chloe.
That counts. 50-50.
You know.
Yeah.
Well,
It's better than a lot of podcasts.
I'm glad to pad the numbers out for this week.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
We are only about the statistics. We don't care about your actual opinion. You can go now.
That's fine. I mean, I'll just sit here with the mic on.
Cool.
Yeah.
That works too. I'll accept what I can get. Guys, this month's theme for the final episode of this theme is superhero movies, and we're talking about Jazz's pick for superhero movies. Jazz, what have you brought for us?
I picked the movie Mystery Men.
A movie I have never heard of.
Yeah.
And Chloe has never heard of.
Yeah.
You've dug deep for this shit.
Thank you for noticing. I was really
You're
happy
welcome.
with it. Yeah. Thank you.
I have a question for you before we dive into a lot of the other questions
Yeah.
that I definitely didn't prepare you for, but I feel like you might have. We'll find out. Did you have like backup choices, or were you just like Mystery Men? This is it.
It was kind of a reflex choice. So I didn't really have backups. I didn't even check to see if it was on streaming. And I don't think it is. But sorry, guys.
Not
No.
for free, no.
Yeah. I didn't realize that until I went to watch it today. No, that
It's
was
fine.
pretty much the first thing that came to mind.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that. That's such a choice. Like in the landscape of superhero movies, of which there are far too many.
Yes.
I love that Mystery Men is your first thought. Like not even like a middle ground deep cut. Like you didn't go Sky High. You just went straight to Mystery Men.
Oh, I should have done Sky High. That's a good one too.
Ooh.
Oh my
yeah,
God.
yeah.
It is a good one.
That'll
All right, guys. Episode
hey.
canceled. We're gonna go watch.
yeah,
Sky High.
that'll fit into a theme somewhere along the line. I'm very sure of that. So
Yeah.
It for sure will. We also have. Is Sky High Disney? It's Disney, right?
It is Disney. Yeah. We could do it on the D Plus show.
Yeah.
There you go.
Right.
All right.
Get on that with Trevor.
Sure. Force him to watch that. Sounds great.
So, Jazz, it was your instinctive choice. Why was it your instinctive choice?
Logan told me the theme was superhero movies, and I have I wouldn't call it a bad habit, but it's certainly like a personal habit, I guess, of really subverting any sort of theme that I can. And so
Ryan Johnson?
Yeah, that's me. I wish. But
I love you.
No, it's,
I love your work.
Do what I can. No, superhero movies, it's all the rage right now, and Marvel's obviously built an empire off of it, and that's what we think of now. But there's so much in a superhero movie that's not that, and so I wanted to pick something different. And Mystery Men was a movie that my dad showed me, and a lot of my movie taste was shaped by what my dad showed me, and none of those movies are any of the ones that people think of, I guess. So, like, I haven't seen any Indiana Jones movies, but I have seen all the Mummy movies. Like, that's where that bar kind of lies, I guess. Have
you seen the new Mummy movie?
Absolutely not, and get that out of my house. That's not a real movie. How dare you disrespect Brendan Fraser like that, first of all.
I'm just clarifying.
No, that's garbage. But Mystery Men was one of the ones, every time it was on, my dad put it on, and I always thought it was really funny. So I was like, that's the one. It's superheroes, kind of. Yeah.
They're super-esque.
Yeah.
There's something heroes for sure.
Yeah.
Something.
And there's a lot I like about it. It subverts a lot of tropes, which I think is fun.
It does.
Because that's what I did, so...
I love it. I think that there's a prevailing theme of this month, which is just all of us kind of going in and being like, so, fuck the MCU.
Pretty much.
Yeah, because Chloe opened it with The Incredibles, which admittedly when she chose that, the theme was action movies. And then I was like, let's just do superhero movies. So I don't know what you would have chosen if you had. Would you have still chosen The Incredibles?
For action movies? No, I've had
for superhero movies.
For superhero? No, I wouldn't.
Well, you chose it. You chose it for action.
No, I chose it for superheroes.
No, you chose it for action, then I changed it to superhero.
Superhero was later in this year, and then I asked, can we switch it to January? Then we did, because Incredibles was always superhero. I didn't have an action movie choice.
You did. You did. It was The Incredibles.
No, Incredibles was for superheroes.
Guys, the timeline is a lie.
The Mandela effect is real.
Oh, fuck. The Berenstain Bears are coming for us.
Damn it.
This is my childhood's greatest fear. That and the Hey Arnold episode. Either way, whichever one of us is right, me.
Me.
Okay. So Incredibles.
We did Incredibles, then we did Wonder Woman, and then we did Iron Man 3. Wonder Woman was my choice. Iron Man 3 was Logan's choice. And even though Iron Man 3 is in the MCU, I feel like that's still kind of a fuck the MCU choice.
That's the redheaded stepchild of the MCU, I would argue. One of them.
Yeah.
It's like, it's that or the Incredible Hulk, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
That are just these kind of outliers that no one... Like, I hadn't seen Iron Man 3 since it was in theaters. And the movies do not acknowledge it, aside from the one kid who comes back at the end of Endgame.
Sure.
Yeah.
That no one knows. Or recognizes.
Nice.
He does look very different. Anyway, this is Mystery Men. What are... Chloe, I feel like you and I are going to have the same response to this, so I don't know why I'm bothering asking, but I'm going to do it anyway. What was our impression of this movie going into it? Because I know I hadn't seen it. I know you hadn't seen it. Did you have any thoughts or ideas about it?
No idea. As soon as I saw like Ben Stiller was in it, though, I'm like, okay, this is going to be weird. It was also made in the late 90s, so I'm like, okay, it's going to be weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it was.
Mm-hmm.
I was definitely in the same boat where I was like, okay, late 90s, Ben Stiller, not a movie I'd heard of. Mm-hmm. So I assumed it was going to be like a campy, like forgotten superhero movie. Did not expect it to be as weird as it was.
Oh, yeah.
This movie really went for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jazz, what was your impression going into the rewatch? Like, had you seen it recently? Was it a lot of like, childhood love for it?
It was a lot of childhood love. I hadn't seen this movie since I lived at home, which is, 7 years ago now, ish. So it's been a long time. And I looked it up before going in, and I remembered a lot of it, and I'd forgotten a lot of it. But it has a really stacked cast, and that I did remember, because it is a Ben Stiller movie. But like William H. Macy is in it, Janine Garofalo, Hank Azaria. Like it's a lot of big names that you wouldn't necessarily put in a movie like this, or even just remember are in a movie like this.
Mm-hmm.
So I was excited to rewatch it just to see if those performances hold up.
There's some really good acting in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like surprisingly good acting in this movie.
That's very weird.
There are so many faces, like even there's so many cameos, and like I assume you guys caught a lot of them because you're better at this than I am. But like CeeLo Green is in it, and Michael Bay is in it.
The Michael Bay one, I saw him, and my brain looked at him and went, I know who that is, but I cannot process that reality. So I needed to like go and look it up just to confirm that I wasn't losing my fucking mind.
Yeah, there's a lot of like really big celebrities in there that just kind of like pop in for a minute. Tom Waits is the mad scientist, and he's like also a folk musician, like a world-renowned one. It's just got a lot of weird people in it, and I remembered some of them, so I was excited going in.
Congratulations on remembering them. Your childhood memory is really held up.
Thank you.
Unlike some of ours.
Well,
mine.
it falters sometimes, but this one, it held true for me. Yeah.
Nice. I love that 2 episodes in a row. I realize you wouldn't know this. You weren't here last episode. 2 episodes in a row, we've referenced Michael Bay now. I feel like this is the power of Chloe. She didn't do it either time, but just like her presence has
it's
this
just
effect.
The presence of Transformers.
It was so ready. You just keep that on hand.
That next.
This is just on my desk. I just always have it.
For audiences listening, Chloe just whipped out a Blu-ray copy of a Transformers movie. Can't tell which one it is.
It's
Is
Dark
it the
of the
original
Moon.
one? It's Dark of the Moon, of course it is.
It's always.
She just pulled Dark of the Moon up with no preparation. She didn't have to look for it. She didn't have to like dig. Her hand was just like, I'm going to rest on the desk. And then 5 seconds later, it will rise with this movie.
Oh man.
Yes.
You really stay on brand.
I really do.
Senior year of high school. This is so off topic, but it's like adjacent related.
Please do. Go for it.
I was in my psychology class. It was the end of the year. We had no projects left. And the teacher was like, well, we don't really have anything for you guys to do. What do you want to do? And this kid, the grade below me, I will never forget this, stands up and whips out his flash drive and goes, I got this, and plugs it in. And he has Transformers, the first movie, just preloaded on this flash drive that he just fucking carried around with him for, I don't know, his whole life, waiting for the moment when he could plug it in so we could watch Transformers in psychology class at like 9 a.m.
It's true. I was the kid.
It was a dude, but I was the
By any chance, do you have this dude's contact information? Because I think we found Chloe's husband.
His name is Connor. I would really have to dig to think about his last name, but he's a year younger than me, and I could definitely find him on Facebook. So I'll get back to you.
Perfect.
Yeah, I got you.
Connor's listening to this podcast. Please call me.
I'm going to send it to him.
Every man listening to this podcast is suddenly just like, I gotta get a flash drive in Transformers right now.
That's the way to my heart. A flash drive with Transformers on it.
That's concerning.
It's simple goals. It's attainable, is what it is. She's realistic.
That's true. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Is she though? Is she really?
We all have our standards
or lack thereof.
Well,
hey, I have some.
Okay, that's fair.
Some.
That's fair. Are they good ones though?
Listen, I said there's some standards. I didn't say they're good or bad.
As long as the bar is off the ground, like there's
That's true.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
It's above the ground. That's all that really matters. Oh god.
Nice.
So I love it. Moving on from this. You mentioned that this is a stacked cast. You're obviously right, because you know this movie better than either of us do. But it is a stacked cast. We have, as you mentioned, Ben Stiller as Roy / Mr. Furious, our, I guess, protagonist. I feel like he fills the protagonist role.
I guess. I think they all hold pretty strong. Yeah,
it's a very ensemble film. It's one of his like first I don't want to say major movies because it flopped, but it's one of his first like big films, I guess, because the movie had a decently sized budget. And up until that point, Ben Stiller had primarily been an indie actor aside from one rom-com whose name I'm forgetting right now because I should have written that down and I didn't. But yeah, this was like one of Ben's, like I definitely went into this movie being like, oh, it's a Ben Stiller movie. But looking at the research, the details, it's not real. Like it is, but it's not. Like
it's the beginning of his
things well.
It's the beginning of his era for sure. Because after this, he starts getting into like Zoolander is 2 years after. Meet the Parents comes out.
Zoolander, Meet the Parents.
The year after. So yeah, this was like
Night at the Museum comes out after.
Oh,
This is his rise.
He was in There's Something About Mary in *98, which maybe is what you're thinking.
That's the movie. Thank you.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I'm thinking.
But
of.
Mystery Men was certainly his first like big comedy role, and that's sort of what at least it's what I think of Ben Stiller as, is like being a comedic actor. So this was the start of him getting into that role.
He was also offered the position of director for this movie and turned it down, which I think in terms of like where, obviously like he could have gone somewhere good with that, who knows, but I think in terms of where he actually ended up, and he seems to have had a pretty good career that probably paid him very well.
Yeah.
I think turning that down was probably a good decision for where he ended up, because he got to be that actor, and he's grown into being that actor. Ben Stiller's a fun dude. I enjoy Ben Stiller a lot.
Oh yeah.
He was a staple of my childhood.
Yeah.
Like Dodgeball. Fundamentally problematic movie, but
absolutely.
He's wild in it.
Dodgeball was big for my family. And my dad's last name is Cotton, so I guess my family's last name is Cotton. And that's one of you got there. Yeah. One of the commentators is Cotton, so we just walk around the house screaming dodgeball lines at each other.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
So you're saying your name could have been Jazz Cotton?
Yes, I'm saying ostensibly it should have been, but I have my mom's name. Or her maiden name.
I mean, the name you take is the name you have, so could have been.
It's true. I could change it now. What sounds cooler? Jazz Foster, Jazz Cotton? I've never decided on that.
I feel like Jazz Foster sounds cooler. I feel like Jazz Cotton sounds like... It sounds like something I'm trying to play. It sounds like... like a stereotypically white protagonist.
Oh.
In a like low budget movie, you know, where you're like, you really want to emphasize this character's like kind of interesting, but kind of bland at the same time.
So I'm the main character in a Netflix movie that doesn't get much publicity.
Yes.
That's what I'm hearing. Yeah,
exactly.
Okay.
You're like the main character in a Netflix Christmas movie where you live in a small town and like a rich man from the city comes and you're like, well, hi there, I'm Jazz Cotton.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Mm-hmm. He hears jazz and he's like, ooh, spicy. And then he hears cotton and he's like, but approachable.
Yeah. That's me. Spicy but approachable. That's how I describe myself.
Nice.
Yeah.
This movie also includes Hank Azaria as the Blue Raja, which I'm pretty sure is a problematic name for the character, but I'm no expert.
Yeah, I was gonna get into that later, but yes.
Yeah, we can get into that later. I have a whole question about some of this movie's choices about representation. But Hank Azaria is known most for Moe on The Simpsons, as well as other characters. He's the voice. He's also in.
Oh, he was Apu on The Simpsons, and he quit. Yesterday,
right.
maybe. Yeah, he just recently stepped down from playing the role.
I read that.
Finally, I think. But yes, he was.
I guess he learned from this movie eventually.
Yeah. He was also in another mystery movie. It's called Mystery Alaska. Also a movie my dad had me watch. Also an incredible movie. Not superhero related, though.
Interesting.
That one's about hockey.
Right.
So if you guys do
that makes sense.
Sports month, I'm in on that also.
We do have a dad movie month.
That might be it.
Oh,
yeah.
Close enough.
I feel like any sports-based movie is a dad movie.
That's
true.
Yeah. We also have William H. Macy as the shoveler. He's been in lots of things. I'm only going to identify him as the man involved in the college scandal because he is.
That's true.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
bringing it down. But you're right.
It's funny because I remember the kid that William H. Macy and Felicity Huffman got in trouble for paying to get into USC, I think.
Yes.
They toured my college when I was going there for her. Because I remember everyone's like, William H. Macy and Felicity Huffman are here, guys. So I love the idea that they were like scouting all these places in LA, and they probably could have gotten their daughter into our school. Like, I'm not saying we're easy to get into, but we're also small, so we could really use the clout. And they're like, nah, we're going to spend $15,000 on USC, but not on USC, on corruption.
Yeah.
Anyway, Hollywood's corrupt.
Hell yeah.
Moving on. We also have Claire Forlani as Monica. We have Kel Mitchell as Invisible Boy. Definitely did not realize that was Kel watching it.
His hair is so bad. I forget.
It is.
I did forget about his hair, and he came on, and I screeched a little bit. I forgot. Bleach blonde. Not great.
I'm so used to seeing him because I know him so well as like the Good Burger guy, as Keenan and Kel.
Sure.
So seeing him without the Kel Good Burger hairstyle, I had no idea who that was.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at him and went, I know this man, but who is he?
And he's young in this movie.
He is very young.
And it's relative, but was sort of towards the beginning of his career too. I mean, I think that's when he was the era where he was doing like the Good Burger stuff. So
it's a lot of actors on like the precipice of doing bigger things, or like more, I guess, at least I'll get into it, but like Janine Garofalo, she's done a lot of things, obviously. But for me, what I know her most as is from Wet Hot American Summer, which is also a movie that comes out 2 years after this, I think. So it's a lot of actors on the precipice of like their thing, the thing they're known for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, we have Janine Garofalo as the bowler, or as I like to call her, Captain Bolmerica. We have Greg Kinnear as Captain Amazing. We have Jeffrey Rush as Casanova Frankenstein. Jeffrey Rush being a major Australian actor, wins lots of awards. Best known to me, at least, as Captain Barbossa in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. I feel like it's the kind of thing where I did not realize that, and then I read it, and I was like, oh, that makes sense. Like, I had a vibe, could not place it. I see it now. Yeah. I understand.
Nice.
We have Paul Rubens as the Spleen, best known as Mr. Peabody. And no, Pee-wee Herman, I'm sorry. Mr. Peabody, what the fuck am I talking about?
Yeah, in Sherman.
Yeah. And Wes Studi as the Sphinx, known for his roles in Dances with Wolves and Last of the Mohicans. He got an honorary Oscar this past year for his work.
Oh, that's nice.
Made him the first Native American actor to ever win an Oscar.
That's less nice. Feels like that should have happened before, but...
Yeah, it's like problematic, but also good for him. Congratulations. Yeah. Progress, kind of. Not if you look at the actual like Oscar nominees this year.
Well,
that's irrelevant.
That's a different conversation.
I think that is a different.
It is.
It's fine.
This movie is directed by Kinka Usher, which, first of all, wild name.
It's great.
It's one letter away from just calling himself Kinky Usher, and frankly, he should be.
No kink shaming on this podcast, I hope.
Oh, for sure.
No. Yeah,
I'm giving him respect. You know, he has a chance at greatness. I'm sorry. I feel like he got called kinky a lot as a kid. Like that was definitely how he was made fun of as a child.
And now you're just continuing that. Thank you, Ben.
Well,
yeah. I'm sorry to Kinka Usher and his family, who I'm sure are listening to this. I know I made this joke last podcast as well. I don't care. I'm sticking with it.
Nice.
Yeah.
He only made this movie. This is the only movie he's ever directed.
Really?
Yeah. He was a commercial director. He got this movie. He did this movie. He went, I hate making full feature films. It's way too stressful and way too much work. And then he went back to making commercials.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Good
Nothing
for him.
but respect to my filmmaker.
Yeah, found what he loved, and it was not that.
Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people who definitely, like, I have a lot of friends who work in commercial directing and stuff, or commercial cinematography. And there's definitely a comfort to, you go to set for a day or a couple days and you're probably still in Los Angeles or near Los Angeles, and you can go home and see your family. And when you compare that to like having to manage an entire feature film's like $75 million budget and fly to God knows where to shoot, like it's definitely a chiller life that he chose.
Yeah. True.
We talked about that with Patty Jenkins too, where like she didn't do commercial directing. I mean, she did commercial cinematography, but after her first feature film, she did a lot of like TV directing for the same reason, because it's just like directing movies is hard, man. You don't see your family.
It's a lot.
The outside world.
Yeah.
Fine.
Who needs them, really?
Exactly. You got movies.
Well,
you got the cast.
Yeah.
That's your new.
You got
go.
movies.
You got
That's all you
movies.
need.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You'll die and your children might hate you, but your movies will be forever.
Oh my god. You have clout.
But movies are forever.
Yeah.
Kids are temporary. Movies are forever.
That tracks. You'll be immortalized on streaming services everywhere. So
Exactly.
We're all stories in the end.
Ooh.
Wow, profound.
Well, that was the
Thank you.
podcast,
I stole
everybody.
it from Dr.
All
Who.
right, good one. Oh, that was okay. Well,
Yeah. This movie was written by Neil Cuthbert, who doesn't have a ton of writing credits, especially after this and his next movie, Flop. But he is notable for being a writer on Hocus Pocus. Also, a great movie. I think, like, this movie didn't do super well in the box office. We'll get to that eventually. I think that his writing for this movie is, like, pretty good. I'm kind of sad that he didn't have, like, the time and success in Hollywood to move on to being able to do, like, to hone his craft, tell better stories, do better things. Really, so I think he deserved more, is what I'm saying.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think it's a really funny movie. Like it's definitely goofy a lot, but it has some clever moments to it. So
yeah,
and it has some good lines. I took some notes on them, but
it has good lines. It has some good jokes. It has like really weird ideas and world building that I fuck with. Like I have my issues with this movie, but I don't chalk a ton of it up to the writing. Like there's obviously things I think could improve, because what movie couldn't? But
yeah,
I think you did a good job. Shout out to you, Neil Cuthbert, whatever you're doing now.
Thanks, Neil.
Yeah,
He's definitely listening.
pour one out.
Oh yeah.
Hope he's not dead.
I mean, how many people are doing podcasts on Mystery Men right now?
Honestly, that's a good point. They
2020.
might find this eventually.
There's no way it's more than us and one other person, maybe.
According to what I read, at least as of like a year ago, less than that, like August, there's one reference of there's one website dedicated to Mystery Men, a singular website.
Yeah.
It has Mystery Men fanfic, and
No!
it looks like it looks like it's from the early 2000s in terms of like web design.
It probably
And
is.
It probably is. That's true.
I'm definitely
It
going
has
to
not
look
been
that up
updated.
and read the fanfic
Yeah, can you link
instead of my
that?
notes for the recap.
I don't have a link to it, but I can scroll through the video that I learned this in and send you the name.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my God.
Absolutely. Yep.
We
Amazing.
could stop the podcast right now and just come back and start reading out the Mystery Men fanfic.
I'm just amazed that someone out there, and like, I like this movie, and there's someone out there that likes this movie so much that they were like, but how it would be better if these people got together, and like the amount of passion it takes to write fan fiction, I think, is way more than I can imagine having for this movie. So good on
If
you.
you were going to pair up two characters in this movie in a fanfic, who would it be? And how smutty would that fanfic be?
Wow. Does it have to be people that aren't already together?
I guess it could be people who are already together.
So
What
like Ben
fanfic do
Stiller
you wanna
and
see?
girlfriend?
Man, I don't know. I don't know.
I want to see fan fiction.
I feel like the obvious answer is Casanova and Captain Amazing. I feel like that's where that's going.
That's true.
Hate sex, yeah. And obviously they fuck.
Mhm.
Casanova's been in prison for 20 years. He almost certainly hasn't been getting any.
It's true.
Yeah, so it had to have been that.
I want to see like a Casanova. You cut out for a second, so it's possible I'm about to say exactly what you've already said.
Oh, sweet.
And I
Okay.
apologize for that. But I want
right.
to see a Casanova Captain. whatever his name is, Captain Amazing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Heavy smut fanfic.
Pretty much what I said. But I'm glad that we've really honed in on what we're all interested in here.
Yeah.
Which is
you cut out and I was like, okay, she either said Casanova and Captain Amazing, or she said Casanova and that therapist who helped break him out. And I'm I guess it is kind of moving in that direction.
Nah.
Maybe she said Casanova and Ben Stiller. I don't know.
Oh, interesting.
Both of you cut out, but I think we really need a Captain Amazing and Casanova really smutty fanfiction.
Oh man, interesting.
Yeah.
I've suddenly developed amnesia about everything but Mystery Men. But can I tell you all about my fanfiction pitch? It's Casanova and Captain Amazing. I know what you're thinking, but they're enemies. But hear me out. The line between love and hate, it's so thin. They love each other and soon will experience that love.
They can't exist without each other. Guys, sleeper pick for fanfic, actually. Just the two Tonys having disco sex.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or making a big orgy and throwing all the disco boys.
Oh, fun. Yeah, I mean, that whole party scene, we'll get to that too, I guess. But the villain party was like 2 steps from an orgy.
Right?
I mean,
oh, yeah.
I think if we're going orgy fanfic, it's clearly the disco boys and the frat boys hooking up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The gay subtext is always there with frat boys, so just go full ham.
Just go regular text.
Yep.
I like it. Yeah.
Now, Chloe, what happens in this movie?
What doesn't
Gay
happen in
orgies
this movie?
Yes.
So, welcome to Champion City, where it's incredibly obvious that this movie was made in the late 90s. Oh my god, with the graphics and all that. You love it.
I immediately was like, so this is Batman and Robin.
I know. I'm like, oh my god,
everything
this is what
about
we're
it.
Watching. So we're in a senior home. They call it a wrinkle fest, which is fantastic. So a bunch of baddies go in and are attacking and robbing all these poor old people.
Yeah. John Wick had murdering the dog, and Mystery Men had tormenting the elderly, trying to get it on. So it's the same thing.
They rip a dude's arm off.
Yeah, like wow, they take his eye out too.
Yeah, they just throw it in a punch bowl.
Goes up.
That
into
the
shape
eyeball
of
I did see. Yeah. The eyeball was that was the opening.
Was this is the opening of the film, guys.
This is the opening of the podcast too.
That's true. They're saved by the village people. No, this is
yeah. Okay.
No, these are what will later known as the Mystery Men. This is Forky, Shovel Guy, and Ben Stiller.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're a bunch of misfits.
And Ben Stiller really goes for it.
He really goes for it. They kind of suck. They kind of get in their own ways. But fortunately, Captain Amazing shows up and saves everybody. Yay! Well, he's also kind of like an asshole. Like, he pushes his kid out of the way. Like, hey, smile for the camera, with this old guy pushes his wheelchair away. Like, damn, dude. He's bored because fighting crime is too easy. And all the supervillains are either locked up forever or dead. And he's losing his sponsorships.
He's losing his product placement. Yeah, like, what's they going to do without that money?
Yeah.
Without that good cash.
Without that Pepsi money. God,
super suit is decked out with patches. Just like iron-on, probably. Because he rips one off.
I love that this... I think the producers for this movie must have just, like, lost their fucking mind when they're like, oh, we can make fun of product placement with product placement.
And it worked out.
That was actually the invention of the Galaxy Brain meme, was that moment.
Oh my god, that makes so much sense.
It was that moment in 90.
The photo from the Galaxy Brain meme is actually that writer the moment he had it.
That guy's head is going. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Crazy. God. Luckily for Captain Amazing, Casanova Frankenstein is up for parole again. And at his hearing, his doctor's like, hey, he's cured. I'm like, oh, okay, this is just like a Harley Quinn kind of situation.
Mm-hmm.
Sick.
Yeah.
Captain shows up as his alter ego, Lance Armstrong, because I didn't hear his last name, to cast his vote to let Frankenstein go. So they're like, you know what? Okay, we'll listen to you, Lance, because you have money. So they let Casanova go.
I just love the little bit there where he's like, I have a letter from my good friend. He's a superhero. And he's just looking at his grocery list. And just like talking.
This profound speech. And it's just like bread, eggs, milk. And, okay, cool. Thank you. Love that.
God. Chloe, you know what else this is? You know what moment we just hit?
Oh my god, is this the inciting incident? Benefy?
You're goddamn right it is.
What? Crazy. Oh, man. So, meanwhile, mystery men go home to their regular lives, and there's the strangest camera angles with, like, first-person point of views. It's so bizarre. So, Shovel Guy, just Shoveler, he has a whole-ass family that don't really support his hero work. His wife is like, hey, listen, don't. Alright, cool.
Just don't.
Forky is the Blue Raja, right? He lives with his mother, who basically thinks he's a stoner. And he doesn't have an accent. That's all for show. Super problematic. It's fine. And then Ben Stiller is Mr. Furious. He works at, like, a junkyard. So, like, that's cool. So Captain Amazing goes off to fight Casanova Frankenstein, but he's captured because he's an idiot, and, you know, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just highlight for a second the Shoveler, who's amazing for the record.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You mentioned when he goes to see his family, and I think possibly the greatest line of dialogue in any movie ever made is a man looking at his wife and saying, I shovel well.
Yes.
Yeah. He's real proud.
We achieved peak cinema today, guys.
And she
really
agrees. She's
did.
so supportive. She's like, you shovel better than any man I've ever known. What more could you ask for from your wife, honestly?
True.
I mean,
Yeah.
what more can you ask for from your husband? Like, he shovels well.
Shovels.
Yeah.
Like,
if it ever
crazy.
snows, he's got you.
Oh, shit, you're right.
Yeah.
Nice.
If our
God.
supervillain ever breaks in, he's got you.
Mm-hmm.
Got you.
Kind
Got a
of.
shovel. You know?
Dig you a
Somewhere.
garden? Yeah.
Perfect.
Mhm.
So, the Mystery
We
Boys
meet the
got
Disco
to go-
Boys.
What?
We
no,
meet
I
the
call
Disco
them the Mystery Boys because they're going to go save
No, the
Captain
Disco
Amazing.
Boys.
Yeah, what
No,
about
the
the
Disco
Disco
Boys.
Boys? They exist.
I
Yes,
love
they
them.
are there. They're something.
Good boys.
They're good boys.
They show up and they're like, we're the
It's-
Disco Boys. And I was like, this
And
movie's
it's
a
Eddie
masterpiece.
Izzard.
Oh, man. God, I don't think I put in where they first appeared, but that was a thing.
They appeared like
Oh my
right
gosh.
after Casanova got out, I think. That's where in my notes I have Casanova's released, Clark Kent joke. Because they're like, it can't be him, he wears glasses. And they're like,
Yes.
haha, we're funny.
The diner scene.
And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and then right after that's the Disco Boys.
Tony
And
P
then
the
we
Disco
have
Boys.
I Shovel Well, and then we have Maleficent Quinn, which is what I'm calling her because she's Harley Quinn but dressed like Maleficent.
Oh.
That's-
She
yeah.
really does surprisingly little in this movie. They set her up to be like
yeah,
actually something relevant. She's not. She's
No.
just like
she just disappears basically.
useless. Just got him out of jail and
Yeah.
now he's like, whatever.
Don't need you anymore.
By the end, he's like, I'm gonna take this girl, and I'm like, don't you? Yeah. First of all, bad. Second of all,
Yeah.
don't you like have a woman who broke you out of prison?
Yeah, but you know, what if he wants multiple women?
I,
He's a
You know,
Yeah.
I
Sure.
respect his polyamorous desires, but like maybe do it morally.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Uh,
Chloe, I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. So, this was the Disco Boys, because the Mystery Boys got to save Captain Macy, but immediately get their asses handed to them by Tony and the Disco Boys. That's
Mhm.
where it's at.
Mhm.
So, they're
When
like,
they
well, shit,
when they
we're
decide to
outnumbered.
go out, you know what that is? It's the end of Act 1.
You're right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Gotta fit that story structure and gotta just fundamentally derail your conversation.
Exactly. Every time. And every time I totally forget about it.
guys, I'm
I know.
learning. Wow.
Crazy, right? Film stuff. This is a film class podcast. We learn things.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Well,
Kind of.
Yeah.
Learn is relative. It's fine. So it's time to grow their numbers and recruit some more superheroes. So they go visit Invisible Boy, who can only turn invisible when no one, and I mean no one, is watching, including himself. Fantastic superpower. That's so stupid. Then they go to a diner, and Deadly Fart Man, I don't know what their names are. These are their Death Stranding names.
He's called the
Um,
Spleen, or as I like to call him, Gypsy Racism, the character.
Yay!
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he can knock out people with farts. Then they have their recruitment party in the pool, which is a thing.
Which is the
Wild.
Smash Mouth song All Stars music video.
I cannot believe
Gotta get that in
That
there.
makes sense.
That's where it is.
I
Yeah,
cannot
the
believe
beginning of that
I
music
can picture
video
that, yeah.
is the 5 of them
Yeah.
sitting around the table, and Dane Cook comes up and does his waffle thing, and then the music video starts.
Mm.
Dane Cook's in that movie too.
bizarre.
How about that for a cameo?
Dane Cook is in
Before
that movie.
he got so weird.
I forgot to look this up, but I think that, you know, when the dad comes with his son, I think, to audition for the superhero part.
Uh huh.
Mhm.
The pencil
I'm
guy.
like Yeah. I'm like 95% sure that's the actor who is the fish man in Shape of Water and Hellboy.
What's his, God, fuck, wait.
I can't think of his name. I know. I can't think of his name either.
Oh, look.
No, this is gonna
Man.
kill me.
Neat.
He was in
Dad.
Falling Skies. He did a lot. He's done a lot of
Yeah,
things.
I
He's a
know,
good
he's
actor.
everything.
Yeah.
He's truly
There's a
not.
J and I feel like there's a D in there somewhere. I feel like
There's a J and there's a
Oh, Doug Jones.
Doug Jones.
D. Doug Jones.
Tina J.
Oh shit, maybe that was
You
him.
know if I'm right?
Yeah.
I wonder.
Let's find out.
Oh
we
my
have
God.
Jazz doing this important research for us.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah,
She's vibing.
he is. He's Pencilhead. And that's
Whoa.
and that's
Yeah,
a
I called it.
credited role for him, which is incredible.
Wow.
Yeah. Really doing
Incredible.
doing big stuff, Doug Jones. Wow, he is in everything.
That is super weird. See, like, I watched this on my phone screen. I didn't catch any of these cameos. Wow.
I watched on a 65-inch TV.
I'll brag about it.
Damn. Okay.
I will.
Yeah, apparently.
Shut up. God, all right. They also
It's a good
recruit
Christmas gift, man.
Carol, the bowler, who carries around her father's skull in a bowling ball because he was Carmine the bowler and he was killed by the Disco Boys. She's out for revenge.
Mm-hmm.
So dark.
So dark and just bizarre.
I like, and by like I mean I don't like, but I like that this movie's like, hey, so we're gonna introduce female characters, and one is going to be generic love interest number 5,
Mm-hmm.
who should not fall for this man, but will.
Are we talking about
Two.
the waitress or the psychiatrist?
The waitress. The
Mhm.
waitress.
Okay.
Although also the psychiatrist, I guess.
Yeah,
But the
that's fair.
psychiatrist, I guess I buy because they don't give us enough details. So I'm like,
Sure.
okay, I
That's
guess.
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the waitress, they give us enough details. Like we see that courtship, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, it's not great.
That is not a
And
thing.
then they give
that
us-
As a waitress, by the way, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Don't try to seduce your waitress. It doesn't work. They're very annoyed.
No.
This is the most important message we've had on this podcast.
I'm glad I could bring it to the people.
Don't bother
We
your
we
waitress,
finally
just
have
take
something
them.
important to tell.
They don't like it ever.
I kind of assumed.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone should assume that, and yet they don't.
You would think. I've had a lot of people who try to like leave me their number on the receipt and like leave all these notes. It's better when they tip poorly too, because you're like, I don't really know what
Oh, great.
you want with that. But yeah, a lot of people try to
Two
shoot
for
their
one,
shot
yeah.
with waitresses, and I promise you, it's not gonna happen.
Ugh, they're not into you.
Yeah, no.
Cool. God.
Yeah.
It's like it's movies' fault because well, it's not exclusively movies' fault. It's society's fault. But a lot of movies do have this storyline where they're like, "Hey, the waitress falls for the customer," or like
sure.
the customer asks her out, and then she fell. Or even like stories, we'll always hear the most extreme stories from people where people are like, "Oh, I asked her out 5 times before she said yes," or "Oh, like I saw her across the restaurant she was working," and it's like, cool, that worked for you, but no.
But don't
No.
try to replicate that,
Don't.
please.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Don't be Joe Goldberg from the You show.
Oh,
Don't do that.
yeah, nice.
Yeah,
An important
Just-
message for all.
exactly. Anyways, so this newly formed team go and follow. They see Casanova's limo and they're like, "Oh shit, there he is." They go follow him, just trash the car, and then they leave. And they're like, "We fucking did it, guys!" They celebrate. The Disco Boys show up and assault them in an alley. So like that's fun. But they're saved by the Sphinx. Super weird. He talks weird. I talks in like rhyme, not rhymes, but
In poetics, I guess.
something
in
like that.
He talks like one of those inspirational posters, but at all times.
Yes.
And you know why?
What?
Because racism.
Oh, hell yeah.
A prevailing theme.
Unfortunately, yes.
He's the mystical native character.
Yeah,
who for some reason is given a name from Egypt.
You know.
Yeah. I will say I'm giving the character shit. And valid shit, I think. But it's also cool that this movie had a competent, like, cool Native American superhero who, like, he talks, he hits the tropes of the Native American, like, mystic, but also the movie's kind of calling him out on talking like this. So it's not perfect, but it is representation. And I think it's representation that is by 1999 standard trying. So
I guess, that's something. Could be better, could be worse. I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, like, Wes Studi, I don't know how to say his last name, who plays him, he's done a lot of work in, like, Native American representation and stuff. So I'm not saying that, like, because he took the role, it's fine, because obviously he can't speak to it all. And also, like, he may have taken what he could get. But I also think that because he took it, there was probably a morsel he saw, hopefully, of, like, of value to it. But also it's problematic.
Just a bit.
Yeah.
Welcome to 99.
All the diversity they try to throw in ends up being a little problematic. Because, like, I remember being surprised when the shoveler's wife was not also white. Which is such a low bar. But I was.
I know.
I was like, interracial couple. Fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. She gets a little tropey. But yeah, which is, it's not too bad, but there are moments where I'm like, we didn't have to do that. But even just the representation, like,
it is this weird line that you walk with. I was watching this video essay by Sarah Z on YouTube where she talks about, like, not that you shouldn't criticize poor representations of underrepresented communities, but it also becomes this problem of if you're, like, especially if you're a white, like, straight man writing something or creating something, but even if you're not, you can almost get away with being criticized more by just not putting anyone of a different, like, anyone diverse into your film. Because then it's like, someone's going to be like, well, you didn't have this. Like, if we were watching Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I could easily sit there and be like, well, it's all white people. But that's going to be a conversation for 5 seconds and we'll move on. Whereas this movie seems to try to have diversity, but because it stumbles, we spend more time criticizing it. And it's this, like, fine line of, you don't want to make someone afraid to have diversity in their films because they'll be criticized for their stumbles. But also we need to be able to talk about it and, like, say, hey, this is where we can improve. So obviously I don't know the creators of this movie. I don't know, like, what mentality they have, but I want to believe that they had the best intentions at heart because they seem to be trying to include diversity. Like, this superhero team is more diverse than the MCU has ever been. It has a black man, a white woman, and a Native American man, and it is more diverse than 23 MCU movies combined in terms of, like, the main superheroes.
Yeah,
huge yikes.
Unfortunately, big yikes there. Oh my god.
I'm so glad we avoided the MCU for this month. Doesn't deserve it.
Yeah. It really doesn't.
Totally. Yeah. So, anyway.
Yeah.
We're at the midpoint.
Yeah.
This is the turning point of the movie where they've been trying to go about things one way in their goal of rescuing Captain Amazing. They've failed, and a revelation has come to change their way of going about things. In this case, the revelation is the arrival of the Sphinx, which, again, still confused about his name.
They're just like,
why is it Egyptian?
Mystical name. The Sphinx is mystical, right, guys? Yeah, okay, sure. Throw it in there. Sure. Like, right? All right. So he trains them, and then fucking All-Star starts playing, which I was not expecting at all. Like, I, like, took out my phone, like, what the fuck is happening?
And it was so fast too. It's like 5 seconds and then it's gone.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Like the notes
the
came in. I'm like,
fuck?
am I hearing this right? Because I was walking in the parking lot. I'm like, is that somebody's car? No, this is the movie. Oh my god.
It's great.
I wish I could go back and watch this movie without knowing what All Star is. Because I'm curious if it's just like really awkwardly placed or if it's just such a distinct song that
Yeah.
it stands out because of it.
I think it's a little of both. Like
I think
not,
it is too.
It's not well placed, but it's not necessarily like egregiously wrong for the scene. But because we all have our own like associations with it, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a bit. It's fine. So they're doing their training, they're doing team building exercises, and once he has them like do a group hug, Ben Stiller's like, this isn't working, guys, I gotta fucking go. Oh my god, it's so fucking weird. So they also go visit Dr. Heller, who makes weapons. So that'll help, right?
In an abandoned amusement park.
Abandoned music park.
Which is just such a fucking weird choice, but I love it.
Did you guys catch? There's so many like weird little details in this movie. But they're like driving up to the abandoned park, and you can see all the rides, and you can see the name of one of the rides, and it's called the Teabagger. And I don't know what the ride was because you can't see it, but just thought,
wow.
But they put that. Someone put that in the movie. They were like, "This is important. We got to have that in there." So
I think it's easy to like miss little details in the background of movies or like see something and be like, well, that probably wasn't intentional, but most things about movies are intentional. So I just I love that someone chose that.
Incredible. Gamer representation, guys. That's what we need.
Early gamer representation too.
Early gamer, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Love it.
There's someone sitting in their little cubicle planning what they were gonna do for the movie, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna throw teabagging in. I'm gonna get back to Doom, guys. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah,
you for some Unreal
absolutely.
Tournament 1v1? I don't know how Unreal Tournament works. I don't know if 1v1's a thing.
PvP me.
I don't know. Yeah, right? Jesus. Wow, movie truly is progressive. Oh my god. So yes, Dr. Heller lives in an abandoned amusement park, makes weapons. They are not lethal weapons though. So those will definitely help, right?
Shane Black will be so disappointed.
He would be so sad. So now that they're all ready to go, team goes to save Captain Amazing, and they fry the man alive instead.
Which is wild.
Fucking, okay, I know. He's like, flip the fucking toggle, and then they
my note is just, oh my god.
I know.
It's surprisingly
surprisingly
disturbing, especially because it's pretty early. I mean, 99 is for right now. It's very early graphics,
yeah.
and it was pretty gruesome. He looks like greasy, but made of stone, and they're like, it looks pretty gnarly. And I'm sure at the time it was especially effective. So
I'm sure
a pretty good death all around.
So big L there. Okay, it sucks for you.
and with Captain Amazing's death, we end our Act 2.
Awesome.
They've spent all of Act 2. They've had a goal. Their goal has been, we're going to save Captain Amazing. We're going to get him out. He's going to help us stop this. And at the end of Act 2, Captain Amazing's dead because of you. You're fucked. Everything's fucked. Congratulations.
Everything's fucked.
Welcome to Act 3.
Fucked. Yeah.
Tried so hard.
Like, well,
they came so far. It didn't happen.
In the end, doesn't even matter.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Wow.
They got to regroup, you know?
Exactly. So they're like, yeah, well, fuck, now what we got to do? And Shoveler's like, hey guys, we got this. You know, he gives them a rousing speech. And they're like, okay, yeah, shit, you're right.
It's based on a Shakespearean play.
Egg salad in there too. You're not gonna find. You're not gonna find many like really inspirational speeches that feature egg salad the way this one did.
You want that? Here you go.
Yeah, I mean it's a niche, but someone's into that.
Where's the egg salad cinematic universe? I just want a collection of movies featuring egg salad based motivational speeches. Maybe throw in a tuna salad once in a while, spice things up.
Oh, you could include Lilo and Stitch then.
Oh my god,
because all we had was stinking tuna. Yeah, you can throw that one in there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe potato salad too, just
Sure.
the
Any salad
standard.
that's
We're
not
connecting
leafy.
films here, guys.
We are.
This is the
That's what
Wannabe
we
Film
do
Class
here.
cinematic universe.
Exactly.
God.
Just wait till we start talking about capitalism.
I mean, we kind of already touched on it.
That's true. Oh my
Captain
god.
Amazing sponsorship.
It's true.
You're right.
The
Can't
real
lose those endorsements.
That Wannabe Film Class cinematic universe is just us pointing out how each movie is a complaint against capitalism.
Oh, what a diverse universe.
That's not a joke. We bring it up frequently.
Like every episode, pretty much.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So now it's the real suit up time and go time to go raid Casanova's mansion. And the gang actually managed to kind of kick some ass and use these non-lethal weapons. And they beat all of the villains that... Oh my god, there's so many villains there. Call some of them furries, which I think I heard that wrong, but it sure sounded like he called a group of them furries. Like, okay,
I
cool,
also
they are
thought-
villains in this.
He said furries, and I
Great.
don't really know where else that would have gone. So.
It really was an orgy then. Oh my god.
Invisible Boy turns invisible. Also,
Turns invisible. Yeah.
the power is
Really
real if
works.
no one is looking at him.
Exactly.
Why does he also kind of become intangible though?
Yeah, his
Like
clothes
not
fall
to
off?
not
Yeah.
not yeah, because it wasn't like he clearly like takes his clothing off. It was just like he turns invisible and it all drops.
They just fall.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, he didn't seem that bright. He probably does not know what the word intangible means. So,
that's fair.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a good point. Also,
Yeah.
you don't need to logic movies. Logic is irrelevant here.
mhm.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter because, so they kind of approach Casanova and he's like, I have your waitress girlfriend who I kind of completely neglected to mention until this point, but she's here. She's a
Yeah.
thing with Ben
She
Stiller,
kissed him for some reason.
I guess there's a romance there. Again, don't
He's
hit
like,
on your
my name is
waitress."
Roy, not Dark Phoenix. And she's like, I'm in love with you. And
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God, you told me your
seduction
name.
does not work this way.
No, it
Mhm.
does not.
Also, Mr. Furious does not look like he tips well, so seduction definitely doesn't work that way.
Yeah, no.
Mm.
No.
Absolutely not.
Mm-mm.
Also, he called himself Dark, or no, not even Dark Phoenix. He called himself Phoenix Dark.
Yeah.
Like, this is not a man you're sexually attracted to
No.
in that moment, at
No.
the very least.
No, not.
And like I say this as someone who thinks Ben Stiller is a good looking man. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's good
drop
looking
your
in the movie
attractiveness.
when he
Oh,
keeps his
yeah.
mouth
He is.
shut.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Doesn't do his
I think
weird
that's a kind of a prevailing theme for my gender.
rage moments.
His Ben Stillerness.
Well,
Yes.
Yeah.
So, well, Ben Stiller finally lives up to his Mr. Furious name, channels his rage to beat Casanova in his sharp pinkies.
hmm
That was a thing. I was okay.
This movie
He
made
throws him-
choices.
Choices were made here. He's got sharp pinkies. Oh my god. He throws him into the core of the big bad weaponinator or whatever,
I
That-
love Return of the Jedi.
It's fine. He'll be back in Rise of the Mystery Men in 20 years.
Oh,
It's true.
what a saga.
Even after he clearly dies.
That's what Lucasfilm said, and no one else did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh my god. He dies. The team does the group hug. Oh my god, it comes all together. Help Bowler destroy the machine with the bowling ball, and they escape. And they're outside. The
She
reporter's
basically
like, "Oh my
risks
God."
murdering her dad. It's fine.
Yeah.
He's already
She's like,
dead.
Dad, you're
Already
al-
dead.
She's like, Dad, you're already dead. And I'm like, if he's communicating with you, I don't think he is.
I mean, she's talking to his skull, so he's kind of dead, right?
But
physically.
but
It's very
but if he-
Macbeth,
if he-
though.
if he can
True.
communicate with you, and destroying this destroys his ability to communicate with you, then, in my opinion, there's kind of alive, and now there's dead.
Oh, no, he's dead though. No, he's gonna die again.
Yeah.
Like, if I took Han Solo, frozen in carbonite, who could not communicate with the outside world, but was still technically alive, and I just destroyed the carbonite, I'm not like, oh, he's already dead because he can't interact with anything.
Oh, interesting point.
There was life there.
Yeah.
He comes back at the end anyway. It's not like he's actually
That's true.
gone.
That's
There's
true.
that one shot of the whole mansion blowing up and a flaming bowling ball skull soaring out of the center.
He's fine.
Just incredible
See?
cinematography, really.
It's like, truly, like...
The MCU wishes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, like, if Palpatine can survive 2 explosions, he can come back. See, he's not technically dead.
Yeah. There you go.
We're talking Star Wars. We're gonna move away from that. It's the
Yeah,
end of
that's
the
a good
movie.
decision.
The reporters are here and they're like, "Oh my god, what's your name? Thank you for saving us." And they're like, "Well, fuck, now we gotta argue about this because we don't know." Reporters like, "Well, we have to thank these mystery men," and then roll credits. That's the name, and they didn't even hear it. So cool. That's the movie.
Yeah.
We're off. It's happened.
We're off. Yeah.
Yep.
This is a thing.
It happened. They did it.
This is a movie.
They
Guys,
mysteried the men.
They saved Champion City from becoming a nightmare. Something.
That's true.
Yeah.
Good.
Heroes, truly.
So, guys, the movie's over. We've watched it. We've gone on this journey of Chloe's recap.
Yeah.
What are we feeling about the movie? Jazz, you rewatching it for the first time in a while after having all this like love for it. How are you feeling about it?
I still really like this movie, but with age and time, I think I'm more able to critically think about it. And I'm aware that it has a lot of like stuff that just doesn't play anymore. Probably didn't play back then, but there are a lot of like problematic elements to it. And we've kind of hinted at a lot of them during the recap and stuff like that. So there are definitely issues that shouldn't have happened and could be fixed. But I still really enjoyed it. I love goofy movies like this. I think it's really funny and really enjoyable. So campy. And I honestly think the like set and lighting design is super on point.
It's got a really solid production design, especially for its
really
time.
pretty. The lighting is really cool, but there are some bits of it just like the shoveler's bright pink house and having Janine Garofalo sit in front of it with her neon green hair strands, like little things like that. And like the Casanova's mansion has that fountain, and there are 3 shots that show like the fountain and the green stretching up to it, and our heroes like doing goofy shit in front of it, like either running around in front of it or like driving the tank up towards it. And those are all really pretty. And they contrast really well with how absolutely fucking absurd everything is. So yeah, I mean, I enjoy it still. Like I said, I know there's a lot wrong with it for sure, but it is ultimately enjoyable for me. Yeah.
Movies can be flawed and fun for sure.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's my preference.
So, what do you think?
It was just so fucking weird. Oh my god.
It's so weird.
I watched it on my phone screen while taking notes on a train, and that really added something to the experience. I don't know what it was, but something. Just so bizarre. And oh my god, I've never been more confused when All Star started playing because I had no idea this was in this movie.
I understand that.
Yeah, that's fair.
It was the same as the Michael Bay cameo where I heard the song and my brain went no, and I had to Google it to like I typed the lyrics that played into Google because I was like, I'm pretty sure this is All Star. I know it's Smash Mouth. I'm pretty sure it's All Star, but my brain refuses to believe it's All Star. So maybe it's a different Smash Mouth song and I'm just an idiot. And then Google confirmed to me that in fact, no, this movie is just doing that. It
did to you. Yeah.
Doing it before Shrek did though. So really,
I mean, Mystery Men gave us this song. Like
it did.
Smash Mouth, the All Star came out 3 months before this movie. But like you were saying, its music video includes Mystery Men. It isn't fundamentally tied to this movie.
They're all credited in it. If you look at any of the actors like IMDb pages, it lists Mystery Men, and then if you scroll up like almost directly over it, it's Smash Mouth All Star. Like there's an IMDb page for the music video, and they're all credited like as their characters in the music video. It's awesome.
You know, in a way, thanks to All Star by Smash Mouth, Mystery Men will probably be more eternal than a lot of superhero movies out there.
Bless up.
All hail Smash Mouth. How would be their name?
Something like that.
Were we all at prom? Yeah. Jess, were you at prom too? Kind of funny prom?
I was not at prom, but I saw that Smash Mouth was at prom. So
they were all there.
Were.
Apparently I missed
only
out.
A couple of them.
Well, that's still
But
more
still,
than
it was still
yeah.
lit. Especially
That was
because
a
they
weird
didn't
movie, too.
tell anyone what was happening. And when it happened, it was like midnight and we'd all been there since like 8 and there was a lot of alcohol being passed
Yep.
around.
Yep.
Oh,
So
Sure.
all of
true.
us were gone.
Yeah.
I hadn't been sober all day.
You lost
Oh.
your glasses somehow that night.
I also lost my glasses that night. I did not get them back.
Happens to the
Fun.
best of us.
Then I got these.
Nice.
They look good.
For audiences, I'm now pointing at my glasses. I feel like you probably could have understood that, but I'm telling you anyway.
Yeah.
So, guys, the movie. Weird, wild, doing tons of crazy things, but I have
Yeah.
some questions for you, besides generally what we think about it. So, who is your favorite character in this movie? Now, normally we say favorite non-protagonist character, but you know what? I don't think that Ben Stiller's character stands out significantly enough to just be like a gimme. So I'm going to say any character is an option.
I'm just gonna say the Blue Raja. What a fucking name. Just for his colory puns. I really appreciated the
fair.
puns.
Yeah.
I respect that.
Yeah.
I like his relationship with his mom too. It was weird, but like wholesome.
Yeah. Like
She's
she gave
so
him all the
proud.
forks at the end. Like,
She's
oh,
so supportive.
these were gonna be a wedding gift for you, but I don't think that's happening anytime soon. Like, okay.
Sick
Dude.
burn, mom. Yeah.
Yeah.
So supportive.
I'm like,
She's like, you're going to be
love
alone
it.
forever, but go save the city.
Exactly.
That's the kind of energy I want to bring into the world where it's like, here, I'm here for you, but also you're sad and alone and you always will be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my
Strong
God.
mom energy on that.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah.
Jazz, what about you?
I think it's a toss up for me. I like the shoveler
Okay.
a lot because I think William H. Macy does him well, and this is pre-scandal, so
Mm.
we didn't hate him quite yet.
Most things are.
Yeah, that's true. But it might be Casanova because first of all, his name is dope and just
That's
such a
true.
bizarre amalgam of bullshit. It's like Casanova Frankenstein. What the fuck does that mean? But he's in
Okay.
it.
I love that the writer was like, I want him to be suave, but I also want him to be villainous.
Right.
How do I convey that to the audience? And they're just like, what if we just take a word we associate with suave and a word we associate with a monster and combine them, and we have our
It
villain.
works.
It's some real like sledgehammer metaphor, you know? It's like you guys get it? He's just hitting you over the head with it. But I think it's him because he's a very good supervillain. Like beyond,
He is. He works.
It's so goofy and campy, whatever. But like you see him like while he's in prison 20 years, and like he learns, he adapts, and his hero nemesis waltzes in like it's gonna be the same old, and he's like, "Nah, you're dead now. Like this is a whole new game." And he kind of does it. Like, he almost gets away with it all. So, probably him. Yeah. Plus, he's got a pretty solid crew of people just willing to turn up. They haven't seen him in 20 years, and all these people just fucking show up for a banging house party and evil crimes. So,
He's just like, hey, every gang.
respect that
come.
loyalty, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. When he walked into the disco scene with the disco boy, whose name I forget, I expected there to be like tension, but he was just like, I'm back. And the guy was like, cool. What's up, boss?
He's
And
like,
I was
hell
like,
yeah.
Nice.
oh, this is what's
Check
happening.
out the disco room. Yeah.
No one challenges him. Okay. He's a man about town. He owns this shit.
He dresses
Yeah.
so well. Actually, they kind of
He
all
does.
dress really well in their own
That's
weird
true.
way.
I love the disco boys.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
mm-hmm.
God.
I said
they're
it
so
before and
great.
I'll say it again. They're great.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
That's the kind of energy I want brought to my supervillain squads from now on.
Disco
Perfect.
energy. Yeah.
Just go.
Yeah.
I agree with
Keep
that.
that in mind.
Or just
Okay.
commitment, you know?
Mhm.
Commitment to a style.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
The incredible synchronicity where they all like pointed their guns in the disco
Mm-hmm.
move.
Yes.
Yeah, when they were going to execute the mystery men. That's what I want from
Fantastic.
So
that's what I
good.
want from my villain cruise.
My favorite character is a toss-up as well.
Mhm.
I was hoping one of you would say one of them so I could like just knock it off my list and be like, oh, it's the other one. But you didn't.
Okay.
So I really love the shoveler as well. I think he's great. I love seeing a family man superhero who's like torn between his family life and like the superheroics. We don't really see that in movies that often.
Yeah.
And when we do see it, it's it's like Avengers Endgame where it's like Tony Stark as a kid. He doesn't know he wants to get back into it. And then he's like, so I'm back into it. And that's it. We're done. He's in.
Yeah.
But this is like a consistent, you know, challenging of family versus job, quote unquote. And I liked that. I also really liked the bowler. She was very weird.
Mhm.
And Janine Garofalo is a fucking great actress who I love from her work in Wet Hot American Summer. So I enjoyed that immensely.
She's also the only one of the superheroes who actually has like a stereotypical superhero origin story. She's like,
You're
my
right.
dad died and I just want revenge. And I love that bit at the end where like she gets revenge and she's like, all right, Dad, I'm going back to grad school now. It's like, what
You
a weird
bitch.
zinger, yeah. Like,
All right, perfect.
she's the only superhero that has that like that weird. All the rest of the guys were just like, I shovel real good. Like, okay.
Yeah. I can throw my forks, Mom.
Yeah.
I have to.
How do you think he figured that out? Like, what accident happened where he was like, I can throw forks?
I can throw forks.
Yeah.
I don't know.
My question is like, why he committed so heavily to forks? You know, I'm like,
Mhm.
That's your
Okay, so you
commitment
can-
question?
so-
Because I have some other questions about what he committed to that I think.
I have two commitment questions. I have a commitment question for Forky. I'm just gonna call him Forky.
Mhm.
Okay.
Shout out to Chloe because she created that name for this character.
I definitely.
But
yes.
We like it.
I question why he didn't just learn, like, because throwing knives are a thing, you know. It's
Well, he
not
didn't
like
want
if
to.
someone's running around with, but if someone's running around with like throwing knives, it's like you get it. And he could have had like creative throwing knives. He could have had like ninja stars. He could have just been a ninja. But he was like, no, I choose forks. And I want to know why.
One of the weirdest bits in the movie for me, and I like this movie, was like the whole argument that he and the shoveler get into all the time where it's like, oh, here we go again. Why don't I throw knives? It's like, no, but why don't you throw knives, dude?
Yeah.
Like anything else. You threw a spoon once. Like, what the fuck?
Oh man.
I have that same question for the shoveler where it's like, why are you using a shovel?
He
Well,
breaks
yeah,
a trowel
why
out
not
at the
a rake?
end. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Tiny shovel.
Oh my god.
But it's like, cool, you're good with this shovel. I mean, I guess it's a Rapunzel thing where it's like she's good with the pan, so she just keeps using the pan. But
Oh, yeah.
Tangled establishes that. So I'm not saying I reject the idea. I'm just so curious. I want the explanation. I
Want
want
the
a deep,
backstory.
heartfelt scene with a shoveler where he's just like, man, my dad 10 years ago, he gave me this shovel and I couldn't save him with it when he died.
Yeah.
But now
And
I'll
then I had
save
to-
the rest of the world.
Then I had to dig his grave with it because it's a fucking shovel.
Oh my gosh, what's up?
Oh, sorry.
I feel like that would fit so well in this movie.
Yeah.
Honestly, it really would. That's the sequel now.
Yeah.
Mystery Men
Get on
2.
Hollywood.
Still
Yeah.
a mystery.
Wow.
Do you have like 3 favorite scenes from this movie? Things that stand out to you where you're like, yes. I'm gonna go with Jazz for how about like one of your favorite scenes? You can name one and we'll go ask around the table.
Okay. I kind of love the opening scene. I really do. I was writing
It's a
scenes
good
down
scene.
that I like really remembered and loved. I love the opening scene because it's so goddamn goofy and weird. And it is very like Batman Robin. It's so campy and the colors are really like bright and like still kind of grotesque. And it's an old folks home, which is such a weird,
Yeah.
like of all the things you could rob.
Mm-hmm.
I think it sets up the tone of the whole movie very, very well. And so I think that's one that's always stood out to me. It's just like the very beginning, like you know what you're getting from the get-go when you start watching it.
Criminals are stealing dentures, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
This is
Anything
what's
they can
happening
get.
now.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Claire, what about you? What's one of your favorite scenes?
Besides All Star, because I just
Mhm.
have to put that just because it was a scene
Mhm.
that will forever stand
Yeah.
out in my memory now. The parole hearing for Casanova when Lance comes in, and he's just. It made me really laugh when he was actually reading his grocery list. Not this profound speech that he has, because I actually thought he had a letter. No, it's his grocery list. That was funny. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. It's so stupid.
It's really dumb.
So,
I also have a scene that I love that's super fucking stupid. It's during the training montage when the Sphinx comes up and is talking to Ben Stiller, Mr. Furious, and he's like, I don't understand why you're having us do this. I don't understand why you're having me like stand in these watermelons, and just pans down to the watermelons, and the Sphinx is like, I don't remember asking you to do that. What the fuck is this movie?
A great slow
stupid
pan.
humor like that.
Yeah. It's such good stupid humor, because this movie definitely has stupid jokes where I'm like, I get it, but that's one that's just, it's so perfectly paced and so out of left field that I'm like, no, this is genius.
It's so stupid. It's smart.
Yep.
Yes.
Jazz, what's your second favorite, or a second of your favorite scenes?
Sure.
This is not ranked.
Oh, good. I like the scene where they kill Captain Amazing. Because I touched on, like, the death is so grotesque and, like, almost out of place in this movie. Like, it's so creepy. But just, like, the comedic buildup to his death, where he, like, progressively gets more and more shitty, and you realize, like, this dude's a hero, but he's a dickhead also. Yeah. And he's just screaming at them, and they're like, I don't think you're understanding my question. They, like, stay so calm about it the whole time. They're like, no, but, like, including, or, like, do I flip the switch so they don't know? I think that's a great one. And then he dies, which is such a weird, like, that's such a bizarre, I always thought it was unexpected. Like, I know to look for it now, but, like, I remember the first time I saw it, and I was just like, what? Couldn't believe it.
I for sure assumed it was building up to, like, when Forky ran to flip the switch, I was like, oh, this is the get out. This is the, like, he did it. Like, Captain Amazing safe. Nope.
No. Mans gets vaporized. Oh my god.
It's rough.
It is. Thank goodness.
He's the first man to ever vape.
Did we have to?
Yes, yes I did.
Okay.
Chloe,
yes.
What is your second favorite scene?
The final battle. It's a bunch of, like, different parts. Like, I like when Shoveler's fighting the disco guys, the disco boys. Sorry. And then when Casanova brings out his pinky. I don't know why I'm stuck with the sharp pinky. It kills me. It's so stupid. I love it. That's final battle.
He has.
I really love this. Sorry, continue.
Oh, he has those. I was gonna say, like, when you see him in the parole hearing, he has those super long, gross fingernails. He looks so awful. So he just keeps the pinky. Yeah, it's always been his weapon or whatever, I guess.
I guess.
So sharp.
It works. I know.
Yeah.
His way of threatening people is like he raises a glass of tea and he pinky out. And they're like, oh, he's fancy. And he's like, no, I'm going to murder you.
Bet.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
My second favorite scene was the scene when he finds the disco boy disco dancing and they reunite after he's returned, and the disco guy is just like, I'm just really passionate about disco, and he's like, I know, and he's like, they say disco's dying, but it's not. And I'm like, oh, this is actually your entire motivation, is just you don't want disco to die. All right, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I love the commitment.
Oh,
passion.
God.
This movie is very fond of just like committing to its bit. Sometimes for better, sometimes for worse. But man, when it works, I'm very appreciative of the stupidity of it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Jazz, what's your final favorite scene?
I like when Sphinx first, like, not recruits them. It's after he saves them, and they're all sitting around like a fire in an empty car, like just cars everywhere. It must be the junkyard. But I actually really like that. Like, I think it's really pretty. I think the lighting looks really cool, and they're all kind of lit in different ways. And it's still like super goofy, and it introduces Sphinx as just such a weird fucking character. I like that one. Yeah. This whole movie's really pretty, which is such a bizarre juxtaposition because it's so dumb.
It's just so dumb.
But it always looks real. Like, if you took the sound out, like, it looks really nice. There's some shots in it that I think are gorgeous.
It's definitely like, I'm trying to remember his name right now. Kinka definitely shows his commercial directing background, because a lot of commercial directors are very good at getting a lot out of very little. And he's definitely like pushing everything about this visually to like its aesthetic peak. Claire, what's your final one?
I touched on it earlier, but it's when Forky gets the forks from his mom, and she's like, these were going to be a wedding gift, but that's not happening anytime soon. Really relate to that on a personal, deep level.
I fucking hate you.
That was great.
Jesus.
So, my third choice for favorite scenes is when he gets the fucking forks from his mom.
Oh, God. You're welcome.
I was like, oh, this is fun. I was like, man, first time we're just like not hitting any of the same scenes.
Nice.
But no, I should have known that Chloe and I would have something in common.
Well.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
You love to see it.
It's a great scene.
Mom, I'm a superhero.
Yeah. I like when earlier she's like, are you doing the marijuana? Or whatever.
Are you doing the reefer?
Yeah.
God, it's so dumb.
Oh, the 90s.
I love that he practices his cutlery puns in the mirror, though.
Yes.
I think that's great. Yeah.
That's when I truly appreciated him. He's like, gonna see you spoon. Thank you for that.
I can't believe they
Bless
put you in a
up.
movie.
They put me in a movie.
Amazing.
Year after I was born.
Nice.
Their age up technology is just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Truly.
First Robert De Niro, now Chloe.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah. Like it's crazy what we can do with special effects now. I'm honored to have such a star of film on the podcast with us. Like, I know this is your only real role until TikTok, but it's still quite the grace you've given us.
Yeah. I only do dumb content.
That's
I
a
know.
brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a new brand. Forget the robots. It's stupid now.
So guys, we talked about this a little bit. Jazz, I know you said you had things you want to say about it. How do you feel about the representation in this movie?
Yeah. It's interesting because I think you're right. I think it is trying. And with that said, it's not great.
No.
And that was, I know one of the games we touch on later is like, what would you change? I remember you guys have a better name for it. And that's
executive action.
Yeah.
Executive action. One of the things I would change, I don't know why Blue Raja's white. Like, also, I'm like, and I know he just stepped down from playing Apu. Why's Hank Azaria got to keep playing brown dudes? Like, he's Jewish.
Yeah.
We don't have to do this. Like, it just, that for me, it's one thing to affect a British accent. And even that, like, it's weird, it's quirky, it's whatever. But why's he gotta pretend to be Indian? Like, it just...
Yeah.
Is he pretending to be Indian? Because the way I understood it, which I almost found worse, well, maybe not worse, but like, because initially I was like, oh, this is a white man who's just like taken an Indian name, which is weird. And then it went on and he was explaining himself. And the way I understood it was he was saying like, I'm like using this name because it's like referred to in the high class, like British things. So he's like, I'm basically taking British identity. And I'm like, no, you're taking Indian identity because Britain imperialized it. So I read it as he was white.
Okay.
But you've also seen this movie more than I have.
I guess I always interpreted it because of the way he's dressing as well. And his defense of like, India was imperialized by the British. I read it as him saying that he was at least Indian imperialized British, or like British from India, something like that. Like, and most of that is, like I said, his costume that led me to believe that. But in either case, I think that it didn't have to be a white guy. Like, they really like.
I agree. Yeah,
it's kind of a joke and kind of serious, and they could have just made it like he could have the same relationship with his mom. He could still affect the British accent. You can have all the same like bits and pacing, and just like have that be a brown dude. And
yeah,
exactly.
And I don't think that changes the movie
just like,
at
I'm
all.
honoring my culture, and I'm like, cool.
Yeah,
good for you, man.
So that was like one of the biggest issues for me that I would change. And like I said, I do think they try at representation, and they have a Native American in it, and they have black superhero, and there's a lot of diversity in the like villains, even if it is like very stereotype tropey.
Yeah.
And it goes back to what you said, Ben, that it's like they tried, but that makes the conversation more vast because they tried. And you can't just write it off like, well, they didn't even put the effort in. They did put the effort in. There's a girl in it, and like there's that tension with her and Ben Stiller where it's like clear that he's not comfortable with a female superhero in the beginning. And then he gets over that. Which could have been shown a little better, I would argue. Because he does get over it, but you don't really see that conflict. So
it just kind of is gone eventually. And you're
yeah,
like, oh.
he just sees how badass she is, and he's like, all right, whatever. I'm a better person now because I have a girlfriend, which is not how character development works.
For some fucking reason.
Yeah. I
get a girlfriend. Now I see the value in women. Yay.
Wow. Yeah, amazing how that works. Like never.
Truly.
That never works. Yeah, I don't know. They could have done better. They did. And for especially for 1999, which is not that long ago, and that sounds so absurd to say, they put in effort for that time period. But I think if this movie were redone now, there are a lot of ways to improve it, and representation and diversity is a big box on that list.
I agree.
Sure.
Chloe, do you have feelings about the diversity in this movie?
Basically everything that Jazz said, like it's a little like white guy playing an Indian British, little
It's either a white guy playing an Indian or a white guy playing a white guy appropriating Indian culture. So either way,
it's still not great.
Yeah,
both are bad.
I didn't even recognize Wes as the Sphinx, so I didn't even notice that he was Native American. I just thought it was another white guy.
I knew it the second he started talking the way he did, which is part of the problem. Because he spoke that way, and my brain just immediately went, the Native American stereotype.
Yeah, I heard the stereotype, but like I'm watching on my tiny phone screen and half his face is covered. I'm like, oh my god, is this a white guy? That's okay, cool. Add that to the list.
I didn't realize he was Native American, and I should have looked it up. I didn't, but I recognized he was like the mystic trope, and because he was wearing that like half mask the whole time, thought he was Asian, which is the stereotypes of.
That would also be
just so many movies coming back to bite me in the ass.
Yeah.
I didn't look, but yeah, either way it is like, especially with that half mask, hard to tell and definitely easy to fall into the trope that we're given.
And then there's the part where we first go home with all of everybody, and like we go to the shoveler's house, and it kind of pans over to his family picture, which is like, oh, you see it's a mixed race family, and it held there for like a second too long. Like, oh, you're supposed to laugh there. I felt like that was supposed to be like a joke. Like, oh, ha, it's a white guy married to a black woman. Like,
I had that thought. I didn't have that thought. I thought it was kind of like patting itself on the back, where it was like, look, it's a mixed race family. But I also took it, like, I could be wrong, but I also took a second to kind of try to evaluate it, because I was like, is this standing out to me because I didn't expect it to be a mixed race family? Like, if this had happened in the movie and it was a white family and it held this long, would it have felt weird to me, or would I just interpreted it as, oh, they're showing that he's a family man,
like this is his family.
So so I don't. That was one of the ones where I was like, I don't know if I should consider this problematic or if it's just me reading too much into it.
Fair. I could be reading into it too, but that was my first thought. I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to laugh here.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I definitely didn't have that one. But yeah, there's like you guys are saying, it's on one hand, it's like the Native American mystic, and that's a trope, and it's a problematic trope. On the other hand, it's the only Native American superhero in film.
Yeah.
True.
So, I mean.
So here we are.
Yeah.
Win some, you lose some. It's like a racist stereotype, but it
exists.
Something.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing? I don't know.
And it does seem to be towing that line. And like, I'm a white man. Jazz, you are a white woman. Chloe, you're mostly white. Mostly white. White passing, for sure.
Yes, exactly that.
Yeah.
So obviously, like, you have the best perspective on diversity, I guess, racially than any of us. And I don't know how much you really consider that on your end. But It's that thing of like, there are shows and movies nowadays that do that thing where they're like, oh, we're presenting the racial stereotype, but then we're undercutting it by revealing that it's all a joke. Like the characters are aware of that stereotype and they're using that stereotype for a specific purpose. Like specifically, I was just watching that Paul Rudd TV show on Netflix. I forget what it's called. Living with You or something. Living with Yourself. Yeah. And there's these two Asian characters who have like very distinct Asian accents. And then 3 episodes in, you discover that they don't have Asian accents. They were just using it to make white people find them like unthreatening. And I'm like, on one hand, that's cool because you're acknowledging the racism. But I also don't know if you're also kind of using the stereotype, but by pointing it out, you think you can get away with it. I don't know how to feel in these situations. And I feel like that's kind of what the Sphinx, not name-wise, because that's still a problem, but in terms of like the Native American mystic, I feel like that's the trope that it's kind of treading of like almost self-aware about it because they reference that he's talking in these weird ways, but they don't commit to it, first of all. And second of all, even if they did, I still don't know I don't know how to feel about that. The world is complicated.
Yeah. We don't know what they were going for here.
I also noticed with him, like, it is important that he's a part of it, and he does, like, being the mystic character, but he brings the team together and he makes them effective, which is kind of a big deal. And then they go to, like, he makes his own, he's in the scene, they're all, like, walking out of the smoke dramatically in their costumes, which is a very overused thing, but it looked cool. And they go to the fight scene, and he's not there. Like, he's the lookout or whatever, but if you want, like, he doesn't show up. He might be in the final scene with the destroying the weapon, but I didn't necessarily, like, he's not noticeable enough to see him, and then he just pops back up when they're all, like, walking out to the reporters. Which is not something I never noticed before. But yeah, for all that he's an important hero, like, he's not in the fight scene.
Yeah. I didn't notice that either this time because I noticed that he wasn't around until they did the walk-in thing. And I was like, oh, he's part of the team now. Like, cool. But now that you pointed out, totally, like, I don't.
Yeah.
That's strange.
Yeah.
Even when they were all the
Strange
lookouts
decisions.
and there was that weird, like, skunk scene, which I don't really think we needed. But he wasn't there for that either.
Yeah. So, moving on from this very important, but also now going on very long conversation on representation, now it's time for reception and mysterious morsels. Mysterious morsels is what I'm calling our little factoids. There's not a ton of them because this movie isn't super rich in lore or like famous people backstory. But here's what I can tell you. Well, one I already told you is that All-Star's music video and the song Smash Mouth, or All-Star, the song Smash Mouth, you know what I mean. It came out 3 months prior to this movie.
Still can't.
The other thing, this is based on a comic book called Flaming Carrot Comics. Do you want to guess why it's called Flaming Carrot Comics?
I thought it was based on a comic. Why it's called Flaming Carrot?
Yeah, because it's fucking wild.
Oh no, I'm trying to.
I don't know.
What? Please tell us. Please enlighten us.
The main character in Flaming Carrot Comics is not a character adapted to this movie
Is it
because he is a man with the head of a carrot
Oh my god.
that's on fire.
Oh my god.
And it's not a small carrot. It is a large carrot.
Oh my god.
So, and it's not like the carrot's like sticking up, like the base of the carrot is the neck and it just like sticks up. It's like, the Spy versus Spy show where they have like the giant pointed heads kind of, or like Phineas from Phineas and Ferb.
Sure.
It's kind of like that, where it's like the carrot is lying on the neck. So the tip points down like a chin, and then the top of the carrot is the top of the head. And that is Flaming Carrot, the Flaming Carrot Comics lead character.
So he's part of the group.
I guess they didn't have the budget for that.
He's like the head of the group, I guess.
And they didn't put him in this?
I mean, 1999 special effects, man. This is why all superhero movies should be animated.
They fried Captain Amazing. Could have used that budget for Flaming Carrot Head. What?
Well, then how would they have killed Captain Amazing?
You're right. God, I guess we had to just pick one or the other. Or a gun. You just shoot him.
You just shoot him.
You just shoot him.
When in doubt, there's
That's
always a
not
gun.
very disco of you, Chloe.
God, you're right.
Fuck, you're right.
Oh my god.
What if they shoot him with a gun
carrot
while
is huge.
disco
Are you
dancing?
kidding me?
Oh, did you look
Did you
it
just
up?
look him up?
Yes!
Oh, what?
That's like the size of his body. I thought it was like a...
I know.
You know, like a proportion, like still like a big carrot. No, that's...
I'm glad you're experiencing this with me.
This is
so...
Yo,
it gets
what
weirder. How does it get weirder?
Fuck.
How does this get weirder?
I guess I envisioned the whole carrot to be on fire as well. No, his head's straight up the torch that the Statue of Liberty carries. Like, the greenery of the carrot is just flames.
Yep.
What the fuck?
Flaming Carrot Comics, created by Bob Burden. Bob, do you need help?
I'll never recover from this.
I'm reading like, oh my god. He's gone through a lot. He's staved off 3 alien invasions, a communist takeover of Iron City, flying dead dogs, the man in the moon, death itself, and a cloned horde of evil marching Hitler's boots. What the fuck?
Hitler's boots?
God.
Hitler's boots. That's what his biography says on Wikipedia here.
You know, if you told me that carrots would be fighting Hitler's boots, I'd be confused. I'm still kind of confused, to be fair.
I'm definitely still confused.
Yeah.
Who published this?
Dark Horse.
What are they on?
Yeah.
Oh,
Who fucking knows,
Image Comics, too.
Interesting.
As recently as 2006.
They've gotten this has gotten around.
Chloe, did you read his abilities?
I'm reading it right now. First one. Ability to induce himself in a state of Zen stupidity.
Fucking me too, my guy. What the hell?
Oh my god, that's my constant state of mind, Zen stupidity.
We're all flaming carrot on the inside, guys.
Oh my god! What the hell?
Can we start a church of flaming carrot?
Yes!
Where we pray to the god of Zen stupidity?
I'm pretty sure we just did.
We're starting
Fantastic.
it right now.
Wow. Why are his feet are fucked up too? For no apparent reason.
They just look like flippers.
He has flippers. Wow, I'm so glad that we've gone on this journey together. I hope everyone that listens to this Googles the flaming carrot.
They'd better.
They better. What the
Moving on from this. All we have for Mysterious Morsels. It's a very thin information episode. This movie came out in August of 1999. It was preceded closely by Inspector Gadget, American Pie, and Eyes Wide Shut. Couple movies, Inspector Gadget and Eyes Wide Shut Inspector Gadget and American Pie make total sense for this tone. And then Eyes Wide Shut's there, and you're like, all right, 99 was a time.
Sure was. This movie premiered in theaters one day before my 4th birthday.
Oh.
Yeah,
nice.
There's a fun fact for you. Looked it up.
Were you born in 95?
Sure was.
Interesting. I'm older than you.
Did you think
Wild.
Did you think I was older than you?
I assume everyone who isn't in college and doesn't live at home is older than me.
Interesting.
Because I've been in college, and because I went to community college, I was in college longer than most people. So whenever I see anyone who's living on their own out of the college environment for a significant period of time, I'm like, oh, you're older than I am. Even though realistically that is not true, because I was in college for 2 years longer than most people.
Fair enough.
This is how my mind works, though.
I haven't actually finished college yet, if that clears anything up for you.
It doesn't, but now I know that.
Yeah.
The more we know.
Yeah.
That's the real mysterious morsel. Getting to know Jazz Foster.
True.
This movie came out, you were mentioning this, it came out 2 years after Batman and Robin, a year after Blade, and then a year before X-Men. So it's really in that, it's nestled in that post-DC movies. Because the last DC movie, when this movie came out, was Batman and Robin and Steel in 97. And then DC was just like, so fuck filmmaking, right, guys? And then didn't make a movie for 7 years until they made Catwoman. And then I imagine they once again said, so fuck filmmaking, right, guys? But yeah, they were in that lull. So this movie really came out between the end of the original DC movie era and before the first Marvel movie era, Blade being that kind of transitional period for Marvel. Mm-hmm. So it's a weirdly placed point in time, because it's making fun of a very distinct period of superhero movies, which is mostly just Batman and Superman. But boy, does it go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It hammers that shit home.
Yeah.
for sure.
It has a tomato score of 60%. So divisive, to say the least.
Okay.
Better than I thought it would be.
There you go. Good job, good movie. You pulled out more than some people thought. And it made $33.5 million on $68 million budget. So it did not do well for itself.
All right.
It released alongside Sixth Sense, Thomas Crown Affair, and Iron Giant. It did worse than Sixth Sense and Thomas Crown Affair, coming in 6th overall that weekend behind Sixth Sense at number 1, then Blair Witch, Runaway Bride, Thomas Crown, and Deep Blue Sea. It did do better than Iron Giant, despite Iron Giant being a masterpiece, because Warner Brothers did not advertise that movie whatsoever. And that's all we got for reception. So this brings us to the moment I'm sure many have been waiting for. Nailed It with Chloe Naylor.
Yeah.
Chloe, review the sexiness of Casanova Frankenstein.
Okay.
Yeah. Lay that out. Hell yeah.
I don't find him sexy, but I have got to give him points for the fucking pinkies because that makes me laugh so hard. It's so fucking stupid. I will never want to fuck this man. He's not sexy to me at all. But I will join his little villain group because I respect him.
Can I ask you a clarifying question?
Sure.
Is the accent part of the problem for you? Or is that like, the accent's fine, but it's the look? Or if he was just like, if he spoke with an American accent, would he be like more or less appealing? I think is what I'm asking.
Because he's like a little too old for me, for my taste.
Okay.
And
Here's
like,
my question.
greasy. You see his gross fingernails, you know, all that.
He is kind of greasy. He's got a bit of an energy.
Mhm.
When famed historic actor Jeffrey Rush gives us the masterful performance of Captain Barbossa, do you find Captain Barbossa sexier?
You say that like I've seen any of the Pirates movies.
Ooh.
What the fuck, Chloe?
Hold on. I'm about to look up Captain
I
Barbossa.
mean, like I've seen like pictures and all that, but I would have to watch the movies to get a full understanding of Captain
That's fair.
Barbossa.
That's
So
fair.
I can't.
I wouldn't want you to make pre-built judgments on the man, the myth, the legend,
Yeah.
Captain Barbossa.
I'm
He's fucking great.
I looked him up again. He's not. Casanova Frankenstein over Captain Barbossa,
Okay.
which is a weird sentence, but it's
I don't
'Cause
know.
he's-
I think I just find pirates attractive.
Pirates
which is
are
fair.
attractive.
But he's older in Pirates of the Caribbean than he was.
He is.
And Chloe already said he was too old in Mystery Men. And he's
True.
got like a very scraggly beard because it's a pirate thing. And it's not a good look.
Mm.
Yeah.
The pirate thing may give him points because I do like pirates. So I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, then
Pirate
that
thing
might swing it
works,
for you.
in my opinion.
I will have to
Like,
watch those
I
movies
think he's
at
hotter
some
as Captain
point.
Barbossa.
I don't know about that.
So you're telling me that the pirate thing works for you, and yet you've not watched the pirate movies?
Ben,
The only ones
let
that
me tell
exist.
you about a show called Black Sails because that is the best piece of pirate media I have seen in a very long time. Treasure Planet is also up there with the pirate thing. going
Oh,
on,
nice.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
You're gonna
Black
talk about
Sails
that
is a
eventually.
very good and underrated show.
I
Shout out to
meant to
Stardust
watch it.
for the Stardust Pirates. And
That's true.
yeah, Robert De Niro. Is that who that is?
Robert De Niro,
Yeah,
yeah.
it is. Yeah.
Oh,
Gay space
It
pirates.
is, yeah. In a
Yes.
wild performance.
Yeah.
truly.
Great pirate scene.
Pirates are sexy.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
we touched on this already, Jazz, with like our executive action. You were saying one of the things you would change is the representation. Is there anything else you would change if you were a producer who had the authority to go to the creators and be like, hey, maybe not this, maybe this instead?
Yeah. I think that a lot of the interaction with women is not ideal as well. And we mentioned
Mhm.
like the waitress suddenly falling for Ben Stiller for no goddamn reason. That doesn't happen. But if you want to throw a love interest in, like, what bothers me more is like how creepy Spleen is to Bowler.
Mm.
Like he's like,
It's real
oh,
weird.
he loves her, and he gets up real like kissy close, and she's just like, nah. And they play it off well, like she makes those jokes and whatever, but that did not land for me at all. I would take it out because I think his character has enough problems as it is, but like his whole character is like, he's the fart joke. He doesn't also have to be the creepy dude that hits on his coworkers. We don't really need that guy in the movie. He could just be the fart joke, and you don't have to have anybody hit on the bowler because she doesn't have to be softened or like we don't need a reminder that like, oh, she's feminine, like she's tough, but remember she's a girl, right? Like we don't need that.
Girls like
we know she's a girl,
yeah.
but like she's also super cool, and I don't need some like one of her teammates hitting on her just because she's the token female. So I would just take that out of the movie, just make Spleen the fart joke and the questionable gypsy joke, and leave him at that.
Yeah,
not great.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
No, Chloe, with executive action, what would you change?
I would take out the love interest part. I mean, like, you hit on the waitress, I guess, if you really need that. But, like, if you take that whole romance subplot out, it really doesn't affect anything until, like, she's being threatened at the end. But that could be anybody, really. Or not
you can
at
make
all.
it one of his teammates.
Make it one of his teammates, or just be like, oh, hey, there's the bad guy. We gotta go fight him. You know, it's dumb. I don't like forced romance. It's stupid.
I feel you. I get that.
Yeah, for sure.
I am not going to change a story thing, which is unusual for me because I feel like that's usually what I go for. Is I'm like, oh, this story structure issue. I want to change this movie tonally, but not in terms of like the comedy of it. I mean, I guess in terms of the comedy of it, but not in terms of like, oh, make it like darker or make it like any of that. I want to change the director because I think that the writing of this movie could be serviced by a director who's just weirder. So here's my pitch. Okay. It's 1999, or it's 1997 probably because the movie's being made still. They're searching for a director. They ask Ben Stiller. He says no. They eventually find the man, the myth, the legend, Kinka Usher, who I respect. I respect the work he's done, but he's also a commercial director who just came out of commercials. And I feel like the weirdness this movie needed was not necessarily the skill set he had. So I want them to go find a young Edgar Wright. And I want Edgar Wright to direct this movie because I think Edgar Wright's style in terms of like quick cuts, there were a lot of jokes in this movie where I was like, if this was faster, if this cut and was shot differently, I think it would feel weirder and fit the tone the writing is going for better. So that's my change, is I just want a director who's more at home with the weirdness of this story.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I would worry that it would compromise the like beautiful scenes that we get. But I do think
that's fair.
That I think the weirdness would definitely, because this movie is already so weird, I think if you leaned into it harder, it would come up with some really outstanding stuff.
Yeah. I like
and you can make an argument that even like a different editor could get that feeling down. I'm going to, in my mind, assume that Edgar Wright can shoot the beautiful stuff that way because I think Edgar Wright does have some beautiful cinematography, and also it could be the same cinematographer that they get. They probably wouldn't be because Edgar Wright would probably bring in his own guy. But I'm gonna, for my purpose of this, I'm really saying that I think that there's comedy in this movie that snappier editing and shots could have serviced better. So that's what I would change.
I see that for sure.
Yeah.
Normally we have trivia, but Logan is not here. And also I couldn't really find any interesting trivia for this movie. So we're skipping that.
Okay.
Which means we are at our closing thoughts on this movie. Jazz, what are your closing thoughts? How are you feeling? We've watched your childhood favorite.
We did. I still like this movie. Like I said, it has a lot of issues with it. And it's one of those things that sometimes I wonder, it's always worth discussing the problematic elements in a story. But sometimes it's also worth remembering that we didn't call them out as much back then. They were still problematic for sure, and there's no excuse for it, but like less people were vocally upset about it back then. So it's easier to get away with that stuff. It's all context of the era. And so within that context, I think this is still a really fun movie. I really enjoyed it. I have a soft spot for movies that are just like goofy and campy and not really like not going to win an Oscar, but like a fun ride from start to finish. And I think that's what this movie is. It's really enjoyable. It has a crazy cast, all at the very beginning of what ends up being like really incredible careers for a lot of them. And it's just cool to see them all get together and riff on goofy comedy and dress up really funny and be superheroes. So I still really enjoyed it, and I'm glad that I showed it to you guys, and that you'd never seen it. It was
I'm glad
cool
you did
to
too.
see other people experience something that I remember very fondly.
Chloe, you came in this the same way I did, not knowing shit.
Not
What are
even
your
hearing
closing thoughts on
about
the
it.
movie?
It was bizarre, to say the least, and I definitely see how this is like a dad movie, because I could definitely see like my dad watching this on like a Sunday afternoon and be like, what the hell is this?
Yep.
Honestly, he probably knows what it is. I'll ask him after this. Oh god, I just have to say, what the fuck, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
It's campy as hell. I had a great time watching it, even though I was like, what am I watching the entire time?
Yeah.
All Stars started playing. I'm like, I cannot get over that, honestly. To go back and watch
It makes so many weird decisions, and it's just like,
yeah,
I love them.
I know, it was great. I had a good time watching it. Like, to be honest, I didn't want to watch it because, like, I don't know what this is. I like staying to things that I am familiar with, but, like, no, I had a good time. This was fun.
That's what we strive for, introducing people to new things to experience.
Yeah.
I also really enjoyed this. Like, I think, Jazz, you're right on. Like, we're pointing out the problematic elements of it because I think that those are things that, you know, when discussing something in the modern era needs to be pointed out, but it's also an old movie, and like, I realized 99 wasn't that long ago, but also in terms of progressiveness, 99 was so long ago because we've evolved so much since then. And I don't know. I think that in a way it's problematic, but I also think in a way for its time, it's trying to be progressive, and I respect it a lot for that. And also it's just a fun, weird, kind of dumb movie that's almost
dumb.
ahead of its time.
It's so dumb. It's great.
It's
Very
picking
dumb.
fun at things that aren't that significant in the cultural landscape yet. Like, if this movie came out now, it would have so much more material to work with. But they were like, they were looking at Batman and they were looking at Superman, and they're like, this is enough material to make fun of. And they went for it.
Yeah.
I respect that. If someone enjoyed this movie, do you have a recommendation for other movies that they might want to watch?
Oh man, do I?
I think you do, because you referenced one that I was gonna recommend.
You go ahead and say that while I think about it.
I will. So I have 3. The one that you referenced was Stardust. I think Stardust is also a weird, out there movie that it's about fantasy. This movie's about superheroes, obviously, and there's definitely a difference in tone, but I think that there are similarities there. Stardust also is a movie with a lot of actors at the beginning of their careers. You have the lead who goes on to be Daredevil. You have Henry Cavill before he's Henry Cavill. Like, a lot of big names in that movie. Yeah, Claire Danes is the star of Stardust. Oh. And yeah, I enjoy Stardust a lot. I also was going to say Scott Pilgrim versus the World, because I was suggesting, like, I think that there's an Edgar Wright-ness to the humor, and Scott Pilgrim versus the World is definitely the movie I was thinking about most. And then finally, the one that I think is the most on the nose similar to this is The Other Guys, with Marky Mark and Will Ferrell. A weirdly fantastic movie that is very much just this movie, but more modern and about cops. Have either of you seen The Other Guys?
Nope.
No.
Oh, it's so good. You need to check it out. This movie, one of the things that I probably also would have changed about this movie is I thought that Captain Amazing's whole like superhero shtick, where he's like kind of shitty and full of himself and doing it for money, was underdeveloped. Like, I expected that to be a much more like full storyline, and then he just kind of disappeared and then he was dead.
Mm-hmm.
I like how The Other Guys set up its storyline, because basically the premise of The Other Guys is Mark Wahlberg is like relegated to desk duty after being like uncontrollable cop or something. I forget. It's been a while. And then Will Ferrell's this guy who just really likes his job at the desk. He just likes getting his work done. And there's these 2 characters, Samuel L. Jackson and Dwayne The Rock Johnson, who are like the big hero characters. And they're the guys, you know, they go out there and they solve crime and they save the day and they're it. And then they die because they're chasing these bad guys, and the bad guys get away by like jumping off a building to safety somehow. and I forget how they do it, but Samuel L. Jackson and Dwayne The Rock Johnson basically get to the end of the building and they're like, how do we catch them? And they're just like, we can make it. Jump for the bush. And they're like, okay. And they jump and they do not make it.
Oh no. Oh God.
So it's just the complete undercutting of like the classic heroes. So I think The Other Guys is really good at doing what this movie is doing, but for like the cop hero style of story.
Nice.
Check it out. Did you think of any movies, Jazz?
I did.
Fantastic.
One I think is The Losers. I don't know if either of you saw it. It was a 2010 film, also with a stacked cast. And this was more actors kind of in the middle of their careers, but Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Chris Evans, Idris Elba, Zoe Saldana, they all play a CIA team who are betrayed and left for dead. And so they mount up to get back at the people that betrayed them. But it's just like a goofy group of people trying to like get back at the people who betrayed them. And it's a very fun romp. It's also pretty short. I think it's like an hour and a half.
Oh, wow.
So that's a good one. And then I've been talking about this movie a lot lately. And it's not a superhero movie, but it's a heist film. And it was on my top 10 of the decade. And it's called Flypaper. And it's a very goofy heist film. It has Octavia Spencer right before The Help. So like right before she took off. This came out like maybe a year before, less than even. But it's like the whole premise is Patrick Dempsey goes into the bank to like get change made, and he's stuck in a heist, and two different gangs of bank robbers come in at the same time to rob the same bank. And they're like, obviously they're going to have a fight, and Patrick Dempsey's like, well, you're trying to, like, you guys want to rob the bank, you guys want to rob the ATMs, why don't you both just rob this bank? And, like, that's the premise for it, is, like, he's a loudmouthed hostage who's kind of stuck in this situation and trying to find his way out while there are, like, other forces at work trying to steal all the money, but also there's, like, a mystery involved, and it's just, like, again, super goofy, super funny, kind of dumb, but, like, very fun to watch. And Patrick Dempsey in a heist film is just the weirdest. So
nice. Write that one down.
Nice. Interesting. I've not heard of either of these movies, so I'll have to check those out. Chloe, do you have anything you would like to throw into this bucket?
Yeah, I've got a couple, actually. They're all superhero related. The one that's probably closest to this, I think we mentioned it earlier, came around the same time. Batman and Robin. Please watch that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Probably the closest, stupidest thing you can get. If you want something, I was gonna say, I don't even know. It's still stupid. Megamind is a fantastic movie. Superhero.
I thought of Megamind while I was watching this. Yeah.
Great movie. And also, if you want something just way more darker, The Boys on Amazon, because Captain Amazing reminded me of Homelander.
I've not watched that yet, but I saw someone in like an article reference The Boys in relation to this movie. So you're a wise woman.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I thought of another one, and this is a movie that Logan and I, or maybe Logan, I think Logan likes it. God knows I love it. But The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which is not like a well-rated movie. I feel like most people don't like it, but it's very campy, similar to this one. And it's kind of superhero-y, but it's about fictional characters who all like band together on a secret mission. Also based on a comic series, not as weird as The Flaming Carrot.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, no, it's just called The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. But it's like Dorian Gray's in it, and the Invisible Man's in it. Dr. Jekyll's in it. Yeah.
That's cool.
It's interesting. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
So that one too.
Okay. That's well, I can't think of his name right now. That's the original James Bond's.
Yeah, Sean Connery. It's Sean Connery's last film.
Sean Connery, yeah.
Yeah.
I had Sean in my head, and I was like, Sean Bean? No.
I'm pretty sure Logan agrees with me that this is a good movie. But God knows what that means.
Okay. So wrapping up, guys. Next week, normally we go into the next week, and I'm like, this is next week's movie. But we have a bonus week for this month of January. We're not doing an extra episode of superhero movies. So instead, what we're going to be talking about is the Oscars, because the episode will be dropping right before the Oscars, chatting about what was nominated, what we thought should have been nominated. We're going to have weird, dumb categories for Chloe because I know she hasn't watched that many movies.
Thank you.
So you'll have your time.
Perfect.
In the sun.
It'll
be a good time. I'm going to complain about I made my list of like what I would have nominated for each Oscars category yesterday. Sick. And I looked at it and I was like, oh man, I disagree with every decision the Academy made.
Oh man.
All of them.
Oh man.
It's going to be a long podcast. Buckle up.
Boy.
We'll have a time. It'll be fun. So that'll be next week. Guys, where can people find us if they want to hear from us more? Jazz, as our special guest, where can they find you?
Oh, I am at Jazz_Foster on Twitter and at Jazz Foster on Instagram. And I write for That Nerdy Site. Do reviews and pieces about Brussels sprouts and bullshit like that. So
you do?
Yeah, I do.
Chloe, where can people find you?
You can find me everywhere at EchoClo. That's Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, Letterboxd, where I put my movie reviews. I put this on there, and I'm still shook about All Star. That's my review. But everywhere at Echo.
I need to put this on my Letterboxd. I forgot to do that.
Oh, well, good thing I reminded you.
Yeah. You can find me on Letterboxd and Instagram and other platforms at Mr. Bento Box, and you can find me on Twitter at Mr_BentoBox. Much like Jazz has that underscore on Twitter.
Yeah.
Because we got cucked.
That sucks for you guys.
Yeah, it really does.
Huge yikes.
Big L.
You can support That Nerdy Site at patreon.com/thatnerdysite. You can also find all of our written words and stuffs and our other podcasts at thatnerdysite.com. If you guys liked this, you can subscribe. You can rate us on iTunes. You can review us on iTunes. Give us those words. Tell us how you feel. This has been That Wannabe Film Class. It's been a pleasure. Jazz, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Coming.
Yeah. Glad you guys liked the movie a little bit.
Yeah.
It was... I think I liked it more talking about it than I did coming out of it. Like when I finished watching the movie, I was like, that was all right, I guess. That was real weird. I appreciate it, but I don't know. And then we just sat down, started talking about it in the moments, and I was like, yeah, this movie.
Yeah, filmmaking.
I'll take it. Yeah.
Oh,
cool. Thank you so much.
Have an all-star day.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Okay.
I will.
Podcast canceled. That Nerdy Site canceled. Everything's over. It's been a fun run, but I'm burning it all to the ground.
You guys are gonna have to get your game on. Go play.
Hey.
I love and hate everything happening right now.
Thank you.
In equal measure.
Oh my God.
Okay, that's enough of this.